Hello book friends, and welcome to another video of mine, and welcome to my 2025 reading wrap up. My name is Nana, and yeah, welcome. I think 2025 has been a pretty good reading year. I got through so far 60 books. Right now I still have almost 2 weeks left of December, but I am going to film it now because we're going on a holiday and I won't have any time to do any filming there. So maybe I can get up to 62 books, but 60 books so far, I think that's pretty good. I read 66 books last year, and as long as I'm over 50 books, I am okay with that. Let's just get started, and let's start with the West and then move our way through to the best. The first one is my favorite Half Nightstand by Christina Lauren. And usually I do like Christina Lauren's books, but this one was really not good. You do follow Millie, and Millie has this group of guy friends, and they work at the same place. And then there's this party approaching, and they come up with this idea to get dates for this party. So they all create these online dating profiles, but Millie does have a crush on one of the guys in that group, Reed. But anyway, she goes along with this idea to create dating profiles. She doesn't use obvious pictures of her, but somehow she does match with Reed. He just doesn't recognize her. And he also matches with another one. And, they text. She does not tell him. But then they also get together in real life, But he still continues the online dating thing, even though he started this thing with Millie. Just this whole setup I really didn't like. He was just such a bad guy. The authors made it sound like it was Millie who was wrong here. And I was like, no. This is only going to be a 2-star for me. I haven't rated any book a 1-star. I just don't think I would finish a book that I only rated a 1-star. Let's move on to the second West book on this list. And that is also a romance book. And it's called The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. And Abby Jimenez is also a romance author that I really do enjoy. This one was really bad. You do follow Kristen and Joss. Their best friends are getting married. So Joss is the best man and Kristen is the maid of honor, and that's how they meet. But Kristen is engaged or married, I cannot remember, to another man. He's working in the army. Oh, there's some cheating going on here, and no, don't do that, okay? And there was also just some mentioning of gun ownership really casually, and I'm like, that is just so far off from where I come from. This book had some flaws or problems to it. And then the next one is called When We Were Birds by Ayanna, Lloyd, Banwo, I think. And in this one you do follow Yetide and Darwin. And Darwin works at the cemetery, and Yetide, I cannot remember what she was doing. Anyway, she did have some spiritual powers, and this takes place in Trinidad, which I really did like because I haven't read that many books from Trinidad. But they somehow connect through her spiritual powers and that he's working in the cemetery. But I really didn't connect that much to the story. It was a little bit boring. I think for some people this could be a beautiful book, but for me it didn't really work out that way. Then we have Moon of the Crusted Snow by, and this name I do have to check, Waubgeshig Rice. He is an Canadian Indigenous author, and this book centers around this town in a remote place in Canada, an Indigenous town society. One day the power goes off and they don't think that much of it. It does that from time to time, but the next day it doesn't come back, and the day after that, and eventually they do have to go into crisis mode and organize the food and trying to survive. And you do follow Evan and how he's trying to help the town and his family. One day this stranger joins their society. I didn't really like this book. Some disgusting things happened. I don't want to spoil that, but it was just an uncomfortable read, really. And I also got a little bit annoyed sometimes because the author really did describe all of the female characters with their looks and all of the male characters with their abilities. And yeah, I just get a little bit annoyed when that happens. So yeah, it's only going to be a 2-star for me. Then we have Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. And I thought this was going to be a really good psychological thriller. But I think it's more like speculative fiction. You do follow Mary and Leah, and they're married. And Leah has unfortunately been gone for a very long time. She got stuck under the water on this submarine mission. And then she comes back. She survived. And then it's just basically about Leah turning into a fish, which was pretty weird. I didn't get this book. I truly did not get it. If somebody did, fine with me, but this was too weird for me. Yeah, I didn't understand it. I just couldn't see the point of it. Then let's move on to my 3 stars. And the first one is Lovelight Farm by K Borison. And in this one, you do follow Stella and Luke. And Stella owns this Christmas tree farm. And Luke has been her best friend for more than 10 years. And Stella learns about this contest that this influencer has. If you win, she will really promote your place. And money's a little bit tight. So she asked Luke if they could do some fake dating because that would really help her in this contest. Nothing really happened in this book. Nothing major. There were no conflict. But if you're into a really warm book where the stakes are really, really low, this could be a good book for that. But I needed the stakes just to be a little bit higher than that. And also, they had been friends for 10 years. Nothing stopped them from getting together. That was just weird. That didn't make sense. I do like Friends to Lovers, but in this one, it did not work. Then we have The Dollmakers by Lynn Buchanan, and this is a fantasy book. I think it is a standalone. And it's about these doll makers and the dolls. You use the dolls to protect this kingdom from some monsters. I just really didn't connect that much with the story. I don't know, there was something missing, maybe a bit of romance, or yeah, I don't know actually. I just didn't really connect, so it was a little bit boring, and yeah, maybe like a plain 3-star. Then we have Horrorstör by Grady Hendrix, and I usually really do like Grady Hendrix's book. Horrorstör was a little bit more slow, maybe, and a bit more splatterish. You do follow this group of employees, and they have to take this overnight shift to see what is going on at night, because weird things have happened in this store that's really similar to IKEA. They take this night shift to investigate it, and then supernatural things are happening. Grady Hendrix's other books have a lot more meaning to it. I think this one did too. This was about the terrors of working in a store, about being a retail worker. That is the horror of this book. That's also a good way of writing a horror story, because those jobs are really horrible sometimes. But his other works are just so much better than this one. And then we have The Inseparables by Simone de Beauvoir. And this story follows these 2 girls' friendships in France. I don't know exactly when it took place, but maybe like in the 50s, something like that. It wasn't that easy to be a girl or a woman. And the story is really about how the society is really suffocating young girls, young women. There was only one way to be. It's also a sad book, I will say. It's not that long. Because it wasn't that long, it's only going to be a 3-star, but nothing wrong with this. And then we have The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. And in this book, you do follow this financial fraud and all of its threats and how it impacted a lot of people. Emily St. John Mandel usually writes stories where you do follow a lot of characters and how they are all connected in a way. And I usually really do like that. Station 11 was so good. This one was alright, but the characters wasn't that well connected, I think, as in her other books. It was a bit more of a far stretch. So yeah, the book was alright, but it's only going to be a 3-star. And then I recently read the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo, and this is a YA fantasy series with a little bit of romance in it, and The first book was pretty good, actually, and then the other two were quite boring, actually. You do follow Elena, and Elena learns that she has some special powers. There are some plot twists in book one, especially, but yeah, book 2 and 3 were just so disappointing. And I will also say the romances that were going on, I just didn't get. I felt so disconnected to the series when it came to that. And I don't know if I want to continue the Six of Crows duology. It is in the same universe, as far as I know. And I have heard that one should be really, really good, but I don't know. Then we have I Am Still Alive by Alice Marschall. And in this one, you do follow Jess. She somehow finds herself in the Canadian wilderness with her father because he's hiding there. And then something happens and she has to survive in the Canadian wilderness by herself. That plot overall sounds pretty interesting to me. She was just a little bit too whining. I mean, I would whine all the time myself if I was the one who was stranded in the Canadian wilderness and winter was approaching. Don't get me wrong, I am no badass. This is also YA, by the way. Then we have The Children's Train by Viola Ardone. This is an Italian author, and this book follows Amerigo. Amerigo? I don't know how to say. This is right after the Second World War, and the southern parts of Italy were really struggling, so they came up with this idea to send some of the kids to the more wealthy families for a period of time with this train. And Amerigo is one of these children. It's really about him truly deciding where he belongs, to the south or to the north. This book is more like a 3.5 stars for me. It was alright, yeah. But I didn't connect as deeply as I thought I would have. But a 3.5 stars, and I think that's pretty good. Then we have Crying in H-Mart by Michelle Zauner, and this is a memoir from her. And it's about her losing her mother to cancer. Then it's about how she processes grief. Overall, this was a pretty good memoir. The thing that dragged it a little bit down for me was all of the descriptions of food. I really don't like that. Some people may be into that, but for me, that makes the story really, really slow. It was just hard for me to focus enough. So that's why it's a 3.5 stars for me. I know for a lot of people, this has been a 5-star, but yeah. Then we have Make Me Famous by Ventura. This is a French author, and in this one, you do follow Cleo, who is this famous singer, and Cleo loves being famous. That was her goal from her childhood. She's a little bit narcissistic, I'm not gonna lie. And there are some plot twists, and it also ends with a plot twist that's really Maud Ventura's thing, I guess. Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much more. It was alright, definitely. It was just a little bit repetitive in the middle, I think, with all of the descriptions of her concerts and how annoying her friends are, according to her, and, stuff like that. But I still think it is worth a read. Then we have Luster by Raven Leilani. And in this one, you do follow Eddie, I think, and she enters this relationship with a married man. And the weird part is that suddenly she's just going to live with him and his wife and their kid. She is a black woman. They are a white family, but they adopted a black kid. There's something there about them taking Eddie in to be like a role model for their adopted kid. And this is messy all around. Also very interesting. I have never read anything like this, but yeah, a really messy book, I would say. Also a 3.5 or maybe a little bit higher than that. Then we have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and in this one you do follow Nora. And Nora discovers this secret library where she's allowed to explore alternative versions of her life and how her life would have gone if she had taken that route. The concept overall was really, really good. I really did like that. I just wish the book had gotten a little bit deeper into this, but it was very interesting. So also a 3.7 or 8 stars. I don't know. Then we have The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak. This one has different timelines. You do follow the civil war at Cyprus, and then also this family years after they came to Britain as refugees because of this civil war taking place. I really liked learning about Cyprus history, and there were some really exciting parts to this book. There were also a lot of nature descriptions. And like I said, with Crying in HMOD, sometimes I just lose focus when there's so many descriptions of physical things. And it gets a little bit boring to me. I think this book could have been so much better without that, but that's just my opinion. I'm not so much into that, like I said. But a 3.8 stars or something like that. It was really beautiful. Then we have Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I really do like Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. This one was not my favorite though, but it's not bad. It's one of her earlier works, and in this one you do follow Elsie and Ben, and Ben dies, and he dies on page 1, so I don't think I'm spoiling anything, but it's about how quickly they fall in love, get married, and then it's about Elsie and how she's grieving Ben dying. They were together for 6 months, and they also got married. So there's not that many books out there about grief. And I think that's also important to talk about this kind of grief. I wish I had connected a little bit more to the story, but oh well, it was fine. There are other works from Taylor Jenkins Reid that I prefer a lot more than this one, but I will get to some of them. Then let's move on to my 4 stars. And the first 2 books that I will mention is from Isabel Allende. She is an author from Chile, and a lot of her books are really with a focus on South Americans' history, and then with a very strong female character. And then there's magical realism sprinkled into it. I really cannot tell these 2 books apart because, yeah, I think some of her books do tend to be really similar. They're not bad, but I just can't read a ton of them in a row because, yeah, they're a bit similar. But anyways, definitely go check out a Isabel Allende book. These 2 books that I'm talking about are called Violetta and The House of the Spirits. 4 stars, both of them. Yeah, I would definitely recommend Isabel Allende. Then we have The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. And this is a thriller, and he's really famous for writing these kind of thrillers. He's a guy, right? I'm not actually sure. Anyways, in this one you do follow Ayanna, and her niece is going to this university, and she's calling her and explains that one of her friends just got murdered. And Ayanna goes there trying to solve this. It was very convenient at times, very not realistic. But was I entertained? Yes, very much. So if you're into these easy kind of thrillers, a really good popcorn read, this would definitely do the trick for you. And you know, sometimes I don't mind that. The next book is called Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, and in this one you do follow Jason. This is a science fiction thriller, and Jason just suddenly finds himself in an alternative version of our world, and it's about him fighting his way back to his family. If you are in need of a recommendation for your husband, boyfriend, dad, this would definitely be a good book for that. But I also did enjoy it. The ending was also pretty good. So yeah, a good 4 star. Then we have The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roxani Choksi. Water break. And you also have 2 timelines in this one. This is I don't know, I wouldn't say it's a psychological thriller, but this is definitely magical realism and not a thriller per se, but there's definitely a mystery there to be solved. And like I said, you do have these 2 timelines, where one of them is that you follow these 2 girls and their friendship, and then you follow this marriage, where one of the girls from before are in it with her husband. But what happened to the other girl? There were definitely a very special vibe to this book, and I think it definitely works for some, and for others it's not going to work. I liked it. I did. But I have heard many mixed reviews on this one. Maybe I'm just a weirdo. I don't know. Then I read Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn. What's her name? Lynn Painter? Yeah, Lynn Painter. And apparently, I read the second book in this series. The first one is called Better Than the Movies. I was thinking like halfway through that this sounds like that there is a book before this, but you can definitely read it as a standalone. You don't need to read the first book. I just think that I spoiled the first book for myself. So I don't know if I want to read it. Anyways, this was a cute romance where I follow Liz and Wes. And they have been in a relationship, but they broke up because of something that happened to Wes. But then suddenly they are at the same college. Wes is actually pursuing Liz. He wants her back. So yeah, it's about his journey of getting Liz back, basically. But the romance was pretty good. I would say the first half of this book was better than the second half, but overall it was still pretty good. Then we have Colony by Annika Norlin, and Annika is a Swedish author, and this book follows this little society living off-grid in Sweden. It was very, very interesting. I think there are like 7 people in this group, and they all came to live at this cabin in the middle of nowhere. And they are, what's it called when you don't need, not sustainable, but what's the word? Anyways, they don't need to go to the store. They don't need to see anybody else than themselves. And it was really interesting to learn about why they ended up there. And there's a lot to analyze on. And there's definitely cult vibes to this book. And I also found that very interesting. Like, why do you end up in a cult? So yeah, this book was weird, but weird in a really, really good way. So yeah, go check it out. Then we have Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And like I said, this is a little bit better. I think you do follow this band. And that was just really interesting. I think it's like from the 60s. Obviously, there's a lot of drama there happening. I really do like books with a Hollywood vibe, or what do you call this? Band vibes to it as well. And all the drama that just comes along with it. And I think Taylor Jenkins Reid do this really well when she's describing how messed up it was years back. I still think it can be pretty messed up, but back then, yeah. Then we have Wayward by Emilia Hart. I didn't really have any high expectations for this book, but I was surprised. I really did like it. You do follow 3 women at 3 different times, but they are all connected somehow through family and witchcraft, and they all have to like fight for their rights as a woman. It was heartbreaking at times, and it was so good actually. It was just right up my alley, and I did not see it coming, but yeah, I really appreciated the feministic tones to this as well. Then we have My Husband by Maud Ventura. I think I got a comment at some point like,
I really need to read this book because you have mentioned it so many times now.
and I was like, oh yeah, sorry. But anyways, it deserves it. You do follow this marriage. You do follow this woman. And one day her husband is telling her, listen, we need to talk. And she is spiraling, and she's just over analyzing everything that happened this past week. And is she trustworthy? Is she not trustworthy? What is going on with her husband? He's also weird, fantastic. A big 4-star from me. Then we have Miss Pearlie's Girls by Rishonda Tate Billingsley. And in this one, you follow this group of sisters. And the mother is dying. And it's about them saying goodbye to her, but also about them reconnecting. They haven't been in touch for many years, and then you'll learn why. I would definitely say check out the trigger warnings, because this one got really, really heavy. I thought this was going to be a cute romance book. It's not a romance book. And yeah, just check out the trigger warnings. But anyways, I really did like it. Then we have Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. And this book is a lot better, in my opinion, than Horrorstör. I think it takes place in the 60s. You follow this institution or home where girls are being sent to when they're pregnant, and they can go there, deliver their babies, and come back to their old lives like nothing happened. They don't have a choice in this, however, and a lot of them do want to keep their babies. So in that way, it's really heartbreaking. And this is what I said that Grady Hendrix does really well. Takes a subject, takes a part of history, and turns it into horror, because this is horror for so many girls that have gone through this and are going through this. Not having the rights of your own body, but also don't have any rights afterward. I think that's pretty genius. Some girls discover some dark magic, and that's where the horror comes in. I really liked it. I think a lot of people have really liked this book, so yeah, give it a read if you can read horror books. Then we have Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This book was a lot. You do follow this writer, this author. She's not that successful, but her best friend is pretty successful. And then she dies from this pancake eating contest that they have together between these two. I mean, she chokes on the pancake, and then the main character decides to steal her unpublished book. And the whole time it's about, is she getting caught or not? Some people are getting suspicious. And it was just so uncomfortable. The entire time I was like, please don't get caught. And then I was like, but why? Why am I cheering her on? I was so conflicted. And there's also so much commentary on so many other things that were quite funny as well. I think this book is pretty clever. I will say that. This is the only book that I have read from R.F. Kuang, but I will definitely be reading more from her. I really like this, but it was really uncomfortable. Then we have Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaughey, and this is a thriller. And you do follow this biologist and her team, and they are trying to reintroduce wolf to the Scottish wildland. But the locals are pretty against this project, and they are having some issues with them. But overall, the big theme of this book is violent men, I would say. It's a little bit dark, so maybe check out some of the trigger warnings. But it got so exciting midway through. I didn't see it coming, but yeah, it was really exciting. Then we have Dreams Lie Beneath by Rebecca Ross. I think I would categorize this as YA romantasy. This is a standalone. And you do follow this girl and her father. They are with magical powers, and they are fighting nightmares at every new moon. Their land is cursed with nightmares that comes alive at every new moon. So it is their job to fight them. One day they lose their jobs, and the girl wants to take revenge. And then there's a little love story going on. It was very sweet. I will say it wasn't that heavy and strong going on the romance, but there still were a lot of it, and I did like that. Rebecca Ross is known for her writing, and I would say that in this book I really did appreciate it. In other books, it has been a little bit too overboard for me with all of the pretty words, I guess. Then we have Normal People by Sally Rooney, and in this one you do follow Miriam and Connell, and you follow their love story from high school throughout college. And they each have some things that they're dealing with throughout the years, and they're like on and off. There's also a TV show, and I really loved that too. And the book was also really great. This is the kind of romance that I really do like. It's not cheesy, but the romance is still good, but there are these serious sides to it. Some people really do not get this book. I don't know why. I really don't. This is my only Sally Rooney book, but I will definitely be reading more from her. Intermezzo, I have heard great things about that one. Then we have In Holidays by Christina Lauren, and this is a much better Christina Lauren book. You do follow May, and she goes to this cabin with her family and her family's friends. They go there every year for Christmas, and then she starts to time travel. She does have a crush on a guy there, but she kisses his brother instead. They know each other from way back. But then this time traveling thing is helping her correct this mistake. It was really cute. A little bit more cheesy, but I really liked the time traveling aspect of it, and the romance was pretty good. Then we have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and this is also a romance book. And you do follow Brianna and Jacob. Brianna is a doctor, and one day Jacob is also starting this new position at a hospital. He's also a doctor. They start to do some fake dating because Jacob could use some help with his family. There's this wedding coming, and then obviously they fall in love. Abby Jimenez is really good at writing romance stories, and this was so much better than the first one I mentioned. Also serious, but not that serious as some of the others that I mentioned. And this is also in a series, but you can read them as standalones. But the first one is called Part of Your World. That one was really good. That was a 5-star for me, but this one was also pretty good. And then we have something special. Book number 6 is in my bedroom. But this is I don't know, can you even see it? The Vampire Academy series. And I read them as a teenager, so many years ago. And the first book is from 2007. And then I have the sequel down here. There are also 6 books in the sequel. I never read the sequel, and I really do want to. Okay, I'm just going to put those down. And I really just wanted to take this nostalgic dive. What do you call it? I don't know. And I have really been enjoying myself reading these books, but are there flaws to this series? Absolutely. You can just really tell it is from that time, and yeah, there are some problems with it, definitely, but still, I don't know, I'm still enjoying myself. Follow this vampire Rose, and she is a mix of vampire and human, and then you have the vampires. And then you have some bad vampires that are called Strigoi. I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyways, Rose's best friend Lisa is a vampire. And vampires, Rose is a vampire. It's their job to protect the vampires. They are trained to become guardians. And Rose really wants to be Lisa's guardian. And Lisa is also a princess. And there's a lot of royal families in this vampire society. There's a lot of things going on. And there's also this big romance thing going on as well between Rose and Dimitri, her coach, trainer thing. A little bit problematic again. But still the romance there is also pretty good. I don't know. This is just an embarrassing enjoyment for me. Let's move on to my 5 stars. And the first one is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. And in this one you follow Jessica Miller. And Jessica Miller is so ordinary, or that's at least what she's scared of being. Anyways, you do follow her at this reunion, and she has really fought to get away from an ordinary life, and she has a good career and everything. And at this reunion, she meets up with her clique that she was in, and they were really popular at university. But a girl got murdered at the senior year, a girl from their group, and the murder has not been solved. Everyone in that group is a little bit sus, if you know. So this was so interesting, so exciting, and I was just so hooked. Then we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. And Emily Henry is a romance author, and I think this is the 5th book that I have read from her. And usually I really do love her works. In this one, you follow these 2 that have been dumped. The people that dumped them are together now. What's the names? Daphne and Miles, yes. So Daphne moves in with Miles because she can't afford rent, and he's like, yeah, neither can I, so let's move in together. Do they fall in love as well? Maybe. This is a plot that I really do like. These kind of like, okay, F you. Now I'm gonna go this way, and I am gonna find someone who is just amazing, you know. Then we have A Man Called Ove by Friedrich Bachmann. And in this one, you follow Ove, who is a grumpy man. Ove really wants to take, his life. And this neighborhood just keeps stopping him from doing that in funny ways sometimes. This is really funny, but it's also a really serious book. But that's what Friedrich Bachmann does so well with his writing. I love Friedrich Bachmann. He's a Swedish author and his writing is just exceptional. So this is also going to be a 5-star for me. Then we have We Used to Live Here by Marcus Cleaver. And in this one you follow, I cannot remember her name, but she just bought this house with her partner. And one day this family is knocking at her door and they're like, "Oh, sorry, we used to live here. Can we please take a look?" And she's like, "I don't think that's a good idea," but somehow they just get in. And that's when the horror begins. I guess I don't have to say much more. So good. Also, like the way it was written, like, is it me who's just reading into things, or is it actually real, or who is the crazy one in this story? I don't know if you're supposed to say crazy anymore. I just don't really have any other good words for describing it, but I hope you know what I mean. And also correct me if it's okay to say crazy. English is not my first language. But anyways, this was just so interesting. I liked how I was so confused reading it, like, am I right or am I wrong? That was just so genius. Then we have After I Do, also by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And this was so good. You follow Lauren and Ryan, and they have been together for maybe 10 years. They are married, but right now they just cannot stop fighting. So Ryan comes up with this idea that they should live separately for a year, have zero contact, and then reassess their marriage after this. And that was so interesting because it was also, messy at times. I really liked that the author wasn't afraid to go into these things that can be difficult, the jealousy and stuff like that, because Ryan jumps right into dating other people. And Lauren knows this and she's like, but I don't want that. I just want our marriage to work. You only follow Lauren's perspective, by the way, but it was so interesting to see her development throughout that entire year, and it wasn't clear if they were going back together or not, So it wasn't a straightforward romance book, but I was really hooked. I really needed to know what was coming. Then we have Sunrise Under Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is the prequel to The Hunger Games. I love The Hunger Games. And this one did not disappoint. I have not read something with snakes, songbirds and snakes, or I don't know. Anyways, in this one you follow Haymit's perspective, and I think a lot of people have read this book this year, and I have heard many great things about it. Again, Hunger Games is also a nostalgic read for me, and it was just so nice to get right back into that universe. So exciting, and yeah, it was good. Then we have From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I read the first 3 books in this romantasy adult series, and it was pretty good. The first book in particular was really, really good. I rated that 5 stars. Book 2 and 3 was maybe more like a 4-star, but I'm hoping that the series will pick up again. There's a lot of things going on in this series. It's a long one. But you do follow this maiden, and she has to be pure for the gods. She's not allowed to talk to anyone except for a few people. She's really doubting, like, why has she been chosen to this? And what's the point? And she does not believe in the gods. And she gets a new bodyguard, and they start a little romance thing, and it was pretty good. There's also a lot of paranormal aspects to this book that was quite unique. If you're looking for a new romantasy series, go read this one. I have heard some people being a little bit disappointed in book 2 and 3. I wasn't disappointed. They just weren't as good as book 1, but still good. Then we have Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is the only Ali Hazelwood book that I have read, but again, this was really good. I love the romance in here. This is a paranormal romance book where you follow Misery, and she is a werewolf, and she's the vampire. And she is finding herself in this arranged marriage to this werewolf. Their romance was pretty good. There's a book 2 out, and I have to read it next year. I have heard many people talking highly about this book. I don't know, there's just something about the romance in here that's pretty good. Then at the beginning of 2025, I finished the last 3 books in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. And that series overall was, I think, around 11 books, so a pretty long fantasy, romantasy series, adult series. I love Sarah J. Maas. I have read the Agatha series. That is my favorite series. Definitely. And this one was pretty good as well. Also a 5-star. I just want to say that it is fantasy, romantasy. I don't know. I'm a little bit divided in what to call it. But there's a lot of romance going on as well. But I would not pick this up if you're solely going for romance. I think Agatha is doing a better job there. But you do follow a lot of characters, and there's a lot of romances going on, and a lot of plot twists. That is what Sarah J. Maas does really, really well. And you just cannot tell where it is going. And I was so wrong from book 1. It is really funny to see how many people are wrong. I'm not going to spoil it, but anyways, that's just funny. Then we have the last book, God of the Woods, by, I honestly cannot remember her name. By Liz Moore, of course. Sorry, I forgot. This is a thriller. I did not see this coming, but it was so good. You follow this summer camp and this rich family. The summer camp is taking place at their land, and then their daughter is joining the summer camp for the first time. And then she goes missing. And also, like 15 years prior, or something like that, their boy went missing. So, what is going on here? What is up with this family? I love the summer camp vibes. I love the investigation part of it. So exciting. So clever as well. So if you're looking for a really good thriller, this is definitely the one. So good. So that was all of the books for 2025. And I have talked a lot now. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it's not too long. But yeah, I will see when I do the editing. I tried to keep it short. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope that you did find some inspiration from this. And what are your favorite books? I would love to know. So yeah, see you and take care.